Hey guys, I'm Ja Harris and this is Digital World Conquest, your #1 source for video games, music, movies, and electronics. Let's get started. Alright guys, so today we're going to be having like a half episode because I'm not going to include My Hero Academia just because I'm going to save all that special episode filler until next week. Last time we talked about the coup d'etat and everything that happened with the police, the scouts, the garrison, wall rolls, all of that. And to the final conclusion, the scouts have overcome the government. The nobles are now sitting chained on their asses or upside down on their asses. Either way, it's not looking good for them. It's looking better for the scouts. They're on their way to the Rice Chapel so they can see if they're going to save Aaron before he gets eaten. I doubt it because like I said, he's going to get into some sexy shit. Now, we flash right back into him being chained up like this with the mouthpiece, you know, the bottom grill, and Historia's walking up to him in a white gown. Father Reese has convinced Historia that he's on the right side, and she tries to convince Aaron. Then they do this little Jedi mind trick, back massage, and Aaron's just distraught. He found all this shit that his dad did, which on top of that, not really sure how that's going to go down, but we'll talk about that in a second as well. We get a public disclosure screen in the episode as well that lets us know that female Titans have the scream ability in order to control pure Titans. We also find out some crazy shit about Freda. We don't see her in the room brushing her hair anymore, but we flash back to a flashback. Can you flash back to a flashback? So we backtrack to a flashback of Frida and Historia in this barn yard stable area where Frida would come in, spend time with Historia, and then wipe her memory just so it wasn't as bad, but she doesn't remember it not being as bad. All she remembers is being bad because she had her whole mind wiped every time. But the double back massage cured all of that. Grishka's sin was him assaulting the chapel and beating young bitch Freda to a pulp. Because she had that young power she didn't know how to withhold. So it came in like, yeah, you know, little bitch, and bit her neck off. Lloyd Reese and Historia touch Aaron's back. He gets a flashback of these memories of his dad implanting them with this blood. Him also turning into a baby Titan and biting his dad's arm off, which I thought was fucking sick, bro. Like that scene, I love how they impact that suspense all at one point with that electricity, and you know somebody's about to have their whole life fucked up. I love it. Keep doing that. So we also find out that Freda was, how do I put this? The royal bloodlines apparently have a power that gives them the ability to control not only other Titans with the scream ability that most female Titans have, but also able to control the memories of human beings as well, which is interesting because then that immediately leads you to believe that this flashback of Aaron's, of what his father has did, is questionable at best, obviously. Me personally, I'm just gonna throw my boat in there and say Grishka didn't do it. He seemed like a real nigga to me when he was sitting there eating oatmeal with his family. You know, I don't know too many real ones that would do that, so I'm gonna give him a pass just off GP. But I believe there's more to that than being said, obviously. I think they're trying to convince Aaron just as much as he's trying to convince Historia because it's been a long time in the running and they just don't have time for anything else. I believe Reese still has something up his sleeve, obviously. That's why he's got Kenny Ackerman and the rest of the anti-personnel control unit sitting outside waiting for the scouts to show up. A little bit about Kenny Ackerman this episode, which I kind of appreciated because I like to see where the crazy hotshot bad guy gets all of his angst from. You know what I'm saying? We learn a little bit about the Ackerman family, which is some pretty dope shit. So apparently they're a royal warrior bloodline that used to protect the king, and they have these innate awakening powers that Mikasa uses to kick a lot of ass. We appreciate that, and it also gives us some hint to Levi Ackerman also being of the actual Ackerman blood, because he said, hey, you know, sometimes I flip shit too. And maybe they're related, maybe they're cousins. I would love it. That would be great. I would get their pictures on my t-shirt and say family reunion, who we introduced. I'm sorry about that. But we also get some flashback to Kenny addressing his grandfather, asking him about why the Ackermans have been prosecuted throughout the cities. So we find out that one of the reasons Mikasa's parents were together was because her Ackerman father was fleeing into the mountains with and met her, they use the term Oriental mother. I know that's not the correct term nowadays, but bear with me because it'd be harder for me to explain it and I'd probably disrespect more people. So here we go. So apparently there were two families that chose to protect the king in the days of old and yore and lore and all of that. And this would be the Ackermans and the Orientals. And these two families decided to turn their backs on the king. It doesn't say how, but I imagine that this is what caused them to be pushed out of the cities and into, you know, hiding. So not only is Mikasa one, Mikasa's the other. So I think that's kind of cool. Is Levi as well just because they have the same hair type, or am I taking too far? Who knows? Yo, Zachary into some kinky shit. I don't know if I like this guy or not. He kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones. Like, he's really weird. Like, he's really poised and together in public, but he's got this royal noble guy upside down on his head. He's funneling into his ass and siphoning into his mouth, and he's got on doily tube socks. Bro, I would have quit after the tube socks, but apparently everybody knows how fucking sick he is, and Pixis was like, hey, if things could have went left, I would have had to go against this dude as well. So I think that gives a little bit into how we're gonna see his character develop, just because, yo, if you have not watched it yet, if you're just watching this for informative purposes, thank you, I appreciate that, that's cool. But go back and watch this man make a special chair for this dude and dedicate his life to funneling shit in his asshole. So check it out, bro. It's a non-miss. It's imperative. And lastly, just to set us up for the next episode, we have Kenny Ackerman and his unit setting up to defend the Reese family in the chapel from these scouts. But we see a short speech from his unit give their loyalty to Kenny's ambitions, which I always appreciate, because if it's a bad guy with a plan, I'm about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. We also have the preview for next week. We got Hangay in the chapel. You know, I told you she was badass. She was the one to be last episode, and she finna prove it again to you. So check out next week, and I'll be here to cover it. We're gonna see what happens. We got Lord Reese biting, and we got Aaron's head bleeding. So you better be there. I'm foaming at the mouth. I'm Jai Harris. This is Digital World Conquest. Stay tuned. Can you flashback to a flashback? So we backtrack to a flashback.